evening, distinguished friends. I am indeed very grateful to my esteemed friend, Mr. Ajit Doval, not only for this wonderful opportunity he has given me, which is a privilege and an honor, but also for a very flourishing and probably undeserved kind of introduction, long introduction which he has given to me. I am indeed humbled by whatever he spoke about me. It's always a pleasure to come to this foundation. Vivekananda has been India's probably the foremost, the most towering personality ever to come and pay homage to this personality and get some inspiration going forward. It's an occasion, and I am grateful to Mr. Doval for giving me this opportunity today. When Ajit had called me a few days ago and asked me whether I can come here, the answer obviously would be yes. And what is the subject on which I would like to speak? Then I thought for a moment and felt that nothing could be more relevant than the subject which is engaging our conscience, our attention, our national psyche at the moment, and on which the debate is going on across the country. And nothing could probably be more relevant to introspect and review the teachings and thoughts of Swami Vivekananda than on this subject, to what extent they would be relevant on this issue. On the one hand, today, when we are speaking of the age-old distortions in the social and economic architecture, the long suppression and so on, and the sudden outburst of anger and frustration among youth, which is something on which the Chief Justice of India himself and several others termed it as the only ray of hope for future, for social change, that the youth of the nation has stood up and raised its voice in anguish and anger. So this is one part of it. And secondly, this also because the youth has risen spontaneously, without any motive, without any politics. It also presents an unprecedented opportunity to channelize the energy of the youth at this moment into proper channels, which Swami Vivekananda had shown us the way, and for which a number of nation-building programs are being planned during this year. And we are fortunate that this is being held now in January, when we are just beginning to formulate our various programs, and I hope we can talk about it going forward. What are the kind of programs which can be included in our activities, which will contribute to our efforts in this regard? As I said, and it goes without saying, that Swami Vivekananda was indeed one of the greatest, if not the greatest son of India ever, an intellectual giant, a volcano of energy, who was far ahead of his times, whose thoughts had left an indelible imprint not only on India, but the entire world, and whose thoughts on women are more relevant today than ever. His message to youth, character building, nation building, and so on, they are all important building blocks of what we should be doing today if we want to build this nation into a strong and self-respecting nation. The unfortunate events in December involving the brutal gang rape of a young woman in Delhi, the spontaneous and massive outburst of anger of youth with the system, and various related issues stirred the conscience of the entire nation. There have been hundreds, in fact thousands of write-ups and visuals in the print and TV media, and I was suddenly reminded of a magazine which I saw a few days ago, while coming here, so I picked it up. This was Sarita, and the cover page story was व्यवस्था के खिलाफ युवाओं की हुंकार. So this was the youth of the nation which came on the roads, and they raised their voice in anger against the system, prevailing system, and they wanted to change it. I'm not talking of the response of the authorities on that. Justice J.S. Verma report, it talks about that. But the nation probably can benefit if the energy and the anger and the frustration and the anguish of the youth at this moment is channelized appropriately. The entire system at that time, the entire nation was turned into a stone shocked silence, and the youth rose up as one, asking for a change. And these brought to the fore in sharp focus various issues related to the status of women in society, the age-old attitudes towards them, the response of society and the authorities to this situation, and the various factors which have contributed to all this over a period of time. The tsunami of countrywide protests and the revulsion which reverberated and further consolidated through social media, TV media, print media, can be a huge landmark and a turning point in our nation's history if this can be channelized in proper directions, and this is the occasion to talk about it today and do it from tomorrow. What are the thoughts of Swami Vivekananda on the status of women in society? And I'll just reproduce and quote some of the relevant thoughts which he said. The best thermometer to the progress of a nation is its treatment of its women. Then he went on, there is no chance of the welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved. It is not possible for a bird to fly on one wing. He went on to say, women have suffered through ages, and this has given her infinite perseverance. He further said, soul has no sex. It is neither male nor female. It is only in the body that the feeling of sex exists, and the man who desires to reach the spirit cannot, at the same time, think about it. A verse in Manu Smriti says, and you all know about it, Yatta Naryastu Pujyante Ramante Tatta Devata, where woman is worshipped, God will there. India for ages has been following this over centuries. It was only during the foreign rule and repeated invasions and incursions, looting and plunder of India, that the rape of women by the plunderers also ensued. And the condition of women altogether became deplorable. There were also cultural invasions. This eroded the age-old values. In India, the mother is the center of family and our highest ideal. In the West, the ideal is wife. In India, it is the mother. She is to us the representative of God, as the God is the mother of the universe. Vivekananda repeatedly told that India's downfall was largely due to her negligence of women. Some of his other sayings included, all, and I am quoting again, all nations have attained greatness by paying proper respect to women. That country and that nation which do not respect women have never become great, nor will ever be in future. He said, with 500 men, the conquest of India might take 50 years. With as many women, not more than few weeks. The idea of perfect womanhood is perfect independence, and so on. The literature of his work, this thing is full of a number of such quotes which are very inspirational. But where do we exist today? Women have suffered in various aspects of life: physical health, mental well-being, social relations, political empowerment, economic empowerment, education, knowledge, domestic work, shelter and environment, mobility, leisure, time autonomy, respect, equality in employment and so on. In fact, they have to compete to take birth, sometimes killed even in the embryo. They suffer at every stage thereafter in being sent to school, where brothers get preference, or in food at home, or in clothes, or in domestic chores, and all through in life. And what's their fault? Is it just physical weakness and non-combating quality? Vivekananda thunders that this is unjust. Women are as courageous as men. Each is equally good in his or her own way. Which man can bring up a child with such patience, endurance and love as the woman can? In India, in ancient scriptures, every word for strength and power is feminine. Shakti. Other feminine words include peace, Shanti, education, Vidya, wisdom, Buddhi, and wealth, Lakshmi. They are all commonly known names for girls. Shiv is also Shiv because there is an Eve, otherwise he is just Shav. Hindus envision the divine as feminine. God is often depicted and worshipped as a female, such as goddess Saraswati. In India, married couples are required to do most rituals together with husband and wife sitting in the same place. So it is not ironical when we talk in terms of empowerment of women, who is herself synonymous of power. What are we going to empower us? The Shakti. Hindus use stories to teach moral values, and in many of these, mighty empires were destroyed because a single woman was wronged by the king or state. For example, in Ramayana, Ravan, the king of Lanka, and his entire clan was wiped out because he abducted Sita. In another epic, Mahabharata, the entire Kaurav family was killed because they tried to humiliate Draupadi. And who knows that in this particular instance, this lady, whether she was called Nirbhaya or Damini, she can change the course of history in the mood of the nation. India also suffers from a dismal sex ratios in several states, including in otherwise prosperous states such as Punjab and Haryana. With respect to gender equality, India is not only behind the USA and Brazil, but also Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and many other countries. The provisional estimates of Census 2011 show that India had a tremendous dearth of women than men. As per the census in 91, 2001 and 2011, child sex ratio has been deteriorating from 945 to 1000, 927 to 1000, and 914 to 1000. So where will we find girls for our boys? This could be seen as social challenges in present and near future. As I said earlier, all this is the result of the lower status of girls in vast areas of our country. In present times, Indian females are witnessing a number of challenges at all stages of their life, starting from birth, starts the gender discrimination, biased nourishment, child marriage, molestation, sexual harassment, rape, dowry-related, domestic violence, some of the other challenges. And all these have been highlighted in the report of Justice Verma also. But in this thing, both center and state have to work together. I recall when I was in Haryana government, we at that time, in order to correct the gender imbalance, started a scheme which was named as Apni Beti Apna Dhan, in which in the poor families, if a girl was born, we used to deposit some money, it was only 2,500, in national savings certificates in the name of the girl, which became 25,000 when she turned 18. And if she was not married till 21, would become 35,000. And to the mother, we would give 500 rupees for her nourishment and so on. And we found that this scheme resulted over a period of time. In the latest survey, of course, the government thereafter improved upon the scheme gradually and successively. Now it's largely that the ratio was substantially improved. So I'm not saying that this is the best scheme, but you have to have what the World Bank used to call cash transfer schemes or other schemes which should be designed to correct the women's conditions in different areas. So what should be done now? Vivekananda believed that it is the youth of India who will transform the nation. He had a tremendous and unshakable faith in the youth of India and wanted them to awaken the lion within each one of them. He wanted them to shake off lethargy, become fearless and strong. Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. He wanted them to be pure, staunch and sincere to the very backbone. He asked the youth to be proud of their rich heritage. He stressed that the future is built out of the past. He exhorted them to remember that indomitable power lies within them and asked them to rouse the power of Atman within you. He asked them to be men, stand on their feet and shake off the negative thoughts, laziness, meanness and hypocrisy. And what is more relevant today for the character building, the moral fiber of the youth of the nation, if we can somehow achieve a fraction of what he envisioned, then we will be somewhere. Imagine with the demographic dividend that we often boast of, when more than 50% of our population is less than 15 years of age. This huge population, when it grows, if it is having that moral fiber, where will it be? He said he believed in the power of positive ideas and said that negative ideas weaken the man. He said that doing is very good, but that comes from thinking. Little manifestations of energy through muscles are called work. Where there is no thought, there will be no work. Fill the brain, therefore, with high thoughts, highest ideals. He exhorted the youth to take up an idea, and I am mentioning this particularly because youth is now focused on particular problems. He exhorted the youth to take up an idea and give their whole life to it. Give up once for all this nibbling at things. Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, and live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves and every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the only way to success. We must go deeper. Vivekananda stressed on great importance of education and value education. He exhorted that education must enable the student to learn, and within man lies all knowledge. It only requires awakening. He believed that knowledge is inherent in man. No knowledge comes from outside, it is all inside. What a man learns is really what he discovers by taking the cover off his own soul, which is a mine of infinite knowledge. Vivekananda said that education must result in man-making and not merely polishing from outside. Education is not the amount of information that is drilled into your brain and remains undigested throughout your life. He said that we want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. And this demographic dividend, which can also be a bane otherwise in terms of unemployment, can turn into a huge asset if we can imbibe some of his thoughts in our education system. And what can be the way out to restore the status of women in society? Vivekananda emphasized on the need of quality of women in education, equality. And what he stressed, that there should be employment-oriented and skill development system of education for women. He stressed the role of woman as a mother in bringing up the child into a strong character and responsible citizen. He said that the ideal woman in India is the mother first and the mother last. He strongly advocated equal education, equal avenues for women. He said daughters must be supported and educated with as much care and attention as the sons. He stressed that if women are raised well, then their children will, by their noble actions, glorify the name of the country, and then culture, knowledge, power, and devotion will illuminate the land. There are a series of steps which can be taken by each one of us within our own spheres of action, in our own families, societies, communities, workplaces, and so on. One of the most important steps which need to be taken is about the economic empowerment of women to make them economically independent. After all, it is only the physical weakness that is one, and the economic dependence of women on men which makes them weaker. The biggest way of removing gender disparity is to prepare and run schemes for their employment. And there could be a number of schemes for capacity building and skill development. I can here recall an experience which I witnessed in Bangladesh when I was Executive Director for this region in the World Bank. I also represented Bangladesh, and I was taken there and I saw a few self-help groups. And in those self-help groups, they were mostly women. And I saw a particular woman who came forward, and her face was beaming with pride, and she told me that she, out of that small loan that she got from Grameen Bank, she sort of started a few self-help activities, and then her husband, who used to drink a lot, now they own 3 buses. He acts as driver in one, engaged 2 other drivers, and they have a pakka house, and they are educating their children in very good institutions and so on. But what is important, she mentioned in that group that earlier her husband used to beat her, but once she complained to the self-help group and it was known to the husband, this incident never happened. And now her respect in the family and the community is much more. So the self-help groups and economic empowerment can really change the situation. There could be a number of activities which could be food processing, poultry, piggery, farming, weaving, beekeeping, towel weaving, tailoring, floriculture, etc. Whatever is relevant to a particular area, or in urban areas similarly, number of them. Before I conclude, I must say a few words about what I believe about Swami Vivekananda, on what he was and what he was not. He, as I said earlier, was universally revered as an intellectual giant, a great patriot, a visionary, and not merely as a Hindu spiritual leader. Swami Vivekananda was an object of deep admiration by various prominent and diverse figures such as Gurudev, Rabindranath Tagore, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and so on. And if I wish to quote what each one of them wrote about him, probably it would take another half an hour discourse. But people cutting across party lines or different shades of opinion have spoken and written so glowingly about him that one can go into raptures. Rabindranath Tagore wrote a lot, it's a long piece, but in the words of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he wrote, "I cannot write about Vivekananda without going into raptures. Few indeed could comprehend or fathom him. Reckless in his sacrifice, unceasing in his activity, boundless in his love, profound and versatile in his wisdom, exuberant in his emotions, merciless in his attacks, but yet simple as a child. He was a rare personality in this land of ours. And what he said is again very important. Swamiji was a full-blooded masculine personality and a fighter to the core. If I had been alive, I would have been at his feet. If he had been alive, I would have been at his feet. Mahatma Gandhi wrote, I have gone through his works very thoroughly. He wrote when he visited Belur. I have gone through his work very thoroughly, and after having gone through them, the love that I had for my country became 1,000-fold. I ask you, young men, not to go away empty-handed without imbibing something of the spirit of the place where Swami Vivekananda lived and died. In his book of Discovery of India, similarly, Nehruji describes Swami Vivekananda as rooted in the past and full of pride in India's heritage. Vivekananda was yet modern in his approach to life's problems and so on and so forth. Long peace again, a dynamic and fiery energy, passion to push India forward. Only recently, a couple of weeks ago, in fact, 10 days ago, President Pranab Mukherjee said that Swami Vivekananda's messages and teachings were relevant then, they are relevant now, and will continue to be relevant as long as human civilization exists. And the chairman of the National Committee or commemoration of 150th birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh also similarly said that Swami Vivekananda, one of the greatest revered figures in Indian history, and exhorted youth to follow his ideas. And in this committee, the minutes of which are on the website, there were people from all shades of political parties, including Sitaram Yechuri, including others, and number of chief ministers from various states and so on. So all that I'm saying, trying to say, that it would be wrong to identify Swami Vivekananda with a particular ideology. He was a nationalist, he was a visionary, he was a patriot, and any one of us who reads, who goes through his works, I think we can still imbibe something in whichever areas we work. So ladies and gentlemen, I've taken a lot of your time. All that I would like to say that Vivekananda Foundation, which is doing a yeoman service moment in nation building, I would like to salute them, to congratulate them on the excellent work they are doing. My good old friend Mr. Ajit Doval. And at this moment, this particular problem, which in my view is engaging the attention, the conscience, the psyche of the entire nation, we can possibly use this opportunity to change the mood of the nation through the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Thank you very much for your attention.